We're going to take our knowledge of scale drawings now and start to add some perspective to them. Now, in reality, when we're looking at something, the further something is away from our eyes, the smaller it starts to look. So if you're looking down a long road on the prairies, at the end, it looks like that road is basically just coming to one point. Or if you're looking at a row of train cars standing at the end, the ones farther away look smaller, when in actuality, they're the same size. So we're going to try to recreate that on a flat piece of paper. And that's called a perspective drawing. It actually gives depth to our drawing. And we just need some simple things to do it. We need a horizon line and we need a vanishing point. Everything goes to this vanishing point. And we start drawing with some straight lines and some parallel lines to create this illusion. So we're going to do it down here with a rectangular prism. That big black line is my horizon line. The point labeled H could go anywhere on this line. It's just put where it is, and that's called my vanishing point. And now you're going to need to use a ruler to draw some pretty straight lines. I'm on the smartboard, so I'll draw the straightest lines I can. You're also going to need a sharp pencil and an eraser, because at the end we have to erase some lines that we don't need. So to start, you're going to take the rectangle that's there. We want a rectangular prism. You're going to connect every vertice to this vanishing point. So I'll just start at the top right, draw a straight line. You should be using a ruler. You go up, the bottom one, going to draw up, top one, come to that vanishing point. You can start to see the depth created. And I'm going to take the bottom one and come up as close as I can to that vanishing point as well. So please use a ruler to do those lines. Now you could start to see the shape create. We have to now start to draw our parallel lines. So this top piece, we're going to draw a line somewhere parallel on here. So, whoops, kind of went a little crooked, wasn't too parallel. So here, it's parallel to the top. Now this vertical line on the right, I'm going to draw a vertical line there. Likewise, the bottom horizontal line on the original rectangle coming across. We're going to come across to there. And then I just need the last vertical line on the left to come up. So our prism is in there. Now this is where we need to use our eraser, because if we wanted to draw this thing just showing that I have this one block in space kind of going off to this vanishing point, I need to erase some lines that confuse the image a bit. So I'm going to take my eraser and I'm going to erase, make it a little smaller, some of the lines here that go to the vanishing point that are outside of the prism we actually drew. So the best, and it's harder to erase this on the smartboard without erasing too much. There, I'll have to fill in a line across here. So now you can start to see that it's looking a little better, but there are some lines on here still that aren't necessary, which right here, if I could get there, if I erase that line, we could start to see now we actually do have this rectangular prism that's going off to space, and the further it gets away from our eyes, the smaller it's looking. So this would be a see-through rectangular prism, so we could see all the edges, all the faces. If you wanted it to look like a solid piece, we're going to have to erase some even more lines. So if this is a see-through 3D solid, if I erased this line here, I'm going to go back to the small eraser, erase these lines, so there and in here. You could see now, fill in what I took away, you can see now that we have a 3D perspective drawing of a rectangular prism. So the further it's getting away from our eyes, the smaller it seems. So that's all we need for a one-point perspective drawing. Just one point and draw the vertices and erase the lines that we want to erase. So again, if we wanted to just recreate this, you need just any line. It doesn't matter where it is. You could choose a point on here, and this is our vanishing point. And if you wanted to draw a triangular prism, let's say, I can just draw a triangle somewhere on here. Connect the vertices to that vanishing point. Draw lines that we need parallel. So here, and across, down, you could start to see that we have a triangular prism. Again, this would be the see-through one, and we could erase the lines after. That actually is starting to get a little smaller as it goes away. And we could just, the end of the prism, you can just choose anywhere you want to put it. So that's all a one-point perspective is. Now the next thing we're going to look at is some exploded view diagrams. Now exploded view diagrams are just that. We have some shape or some solid, and it's like we blew it up and we're showing all the components of this object we're talking about. So right now, here's an exploded view diagram of a motorbike, a dirt bike. So you can see all the pieces are separated and they're showing where each piece goes. Still can resemble the shape that we see or that we know it's a motorbike, but everything's taken apart into its individual components. Likewise, if you ever shop at IKEA and the instructions, they look something like this. This is an exploded view diagram. You can see that this is a chair, but all the pieces are separated and they show you how to put them back together. So exploded view diagrams is just a diagram that shows all the individual components of an object. So basically all the pieces it takes to make this. So we had the motorbike example and we had that chair from IKEA. Now we're going to do a simple one here. We're never going to be drawing something like that motorbike, but we're going to draw an exploded view diagram of this shelving unit. So as you look at it, you should examine, okay, what pieces does it actually have on here? Well, there's sides that I'm going to have to show exploded. There's a top and a bottom. There's this shelf in here, but there's also probably a piece of wood across the back, so the books just don't go through. So that is all the components of this shelving unit, and it's our job to show them all ripped apart. Now this is where you're going to have to take some creativity in your drawings. So the first thing I'm going to draw is the side over here. And if I draw that, and we're not drawing it to scale right now, we're saying, okay, that's that one side. And then in the middle, I have some shelving units. So here's the top shelf. Here's the middle shelf that should be the same size. And here is the bottom shelf. Then I have another edge piece right there. And then on the back, I would have that solid piece we were talking about that covers up the shelves. So you can see I have all the pieces to this shelf somewhat. If I was to put them all together, I'd probably fix this piece over here. Looks a little bit too big compared to the other side, like this. So there's an exploded view diagram of this shelving unit. All the pieces, and now you can clearly see that we have 6 pieces to this shelving unit. So 2 things we learned, 1-point perspective, and there is another little video that are in your note package that I'd like you to watch on 1-point perspective, and then there's exploded view diagrams.